Salakaya Chaksuranmritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vichaitamya Manavistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamaya Dadanti Swapadanti Kam. First of all, I offer my most humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Diksha and Shiksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishno Vishnupad Asatarasata Sisimad, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nityalila Pravishno Vishnupad Asatarasata Sisimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Vinod. And I offer my humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are present here today. Dandavat Pranam. So, on the first day, we discussed Advaigyan Paratattva. Means understanding the non-dual substance. It's three phases. Advai. Advai means non-dual substance. So we discussed this non-dual substance and how it is the source of everything, and it comes in three features. And what are the three primary points about Advaigyan Paratattva? Three primary points I made. Gurudev makes these 3 points about Advaigyan Paratattva. Who can remember it? Nothing is. Well, what's the first one? First one is nothing is separate from Krishna. Nothing is equal to Krishna. Nothing is superior to Krishna. Correct. These are the 3 points Srila Gurudev made in Badger. This is the sum and substance. First, he asked Sundar Gopal to speak. Sundar Gopal explained this point about nothing is separate from Krishna. And he made him repeat it. He said it, and then he said, repeat it again, that everyone should hear it. The first principle is, Advaigyan Paratattva means nothing is separate from Krishna. Then he spoke to Madhav Maharaj. Now Madhav Maharaj, you speak. Then Madhav Maharaj told so many verses and explained. Nothing equal to Krishna, nothing superior to Krishna. But then Gurudev told, these 3 things, nothing is separate, nothing is equal, nothing is superior. This is Advaigyan Paratattva. But in Rasa Tattva, who is superior? Srimati Radha. Yes. And Radha is superior. Okay. Then yesterday we spoke about Guru Tattva. So, when it says Guru Dev is external manifestation of God, what happens if we do not see that Gurudev is same as Krishna or same as God in this sense, in that sense? What happens? Yeah. Yasya Marakisa. Archa Vishnav Shila Dear Gurushu Nara. Gurushu Nara. Nara Mati Vaishnave Jati Buddhi. Archa Vishnav Shila. Who sees the Archa, Vigraha, Thakurji, as Shila, stone? Guru Shu Naramati. Who sees the Guru as Nara, ordinary human being? Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. Who sees the Vaishnava as being from some Jat? Oh, he is Goswami caste, or he is Brahmin Guru, or he is Indian Guru, Indian Vaishnava, Bengali Vaishnava, American Vaishnava, woman Vaishnava, man Vaishnava, like this. All these designation by caste, color, creed, gender. This is not acceptable. You are Vaishnava. Why? Because you are Atma. Jiva Sarupoy Nitya Krishna Das. You are the eternal servant of Sri Krishna. This is Vaishnava. So Vaishnava is not based on caste, color, or creed, or gender. Vaishnava is Vaishnava. Always. Because she is servant of Krishna. So now, we have discussed the Guru Tattva. Some more things I will present about Guru Tattva, give some more details as we talk. But now today we have to understand who is Jiva Tattva. Where is the Jiva coming from? And what are the components of the covering of the Jiva? And what are the mechanisms that force the Jiva within the bonds of this material world of Maya to behave inappropriately, improperly, to desire to stay bound up in this material world? All this we will discuss today. So, remember when we discussed Advaita Paratattva on the first night, we explained that the Brahman, Brahmajyoti, is everywhere. It expands, it is the effulgence of Krishna. Hiranmayena patrena satyasitihitam mukam. This is the 15th verse of Ishopanishad. That please remove this hiranya, this effulgence, and show me your mukha, your face. Please, Krishna, I want to see the face. That which is behind the effulgence, that which is the source of the effulgence. We also read in Brihad Naradiya Purana when Lord Brahma is doing Sat Chakra Yoga and meditating in the Kundalini of the different chakras. Then he starts meditating on the heart, and meditating on the Anhat Chakra, and meditating on the heart chakra, and then he sees the brilliant Brahman effulgence, and then the effulgence dissipates, and behind that effulgence, the source of that effulgence, that's manifesting that effulgence, is Gopal. Krishna has cowered. This we discussed in Advaita Paratattva, these two quotes. And Krishna himself says in Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the foundation of Brahman. Brahman is resting upon me. Therefore Arjuna addresses Krishna in 11th chapter, Param Brahma, you are the Param Brahman. And the principle of Advaita Paratattva is Vidanti tat tattva vidam tattvam yad jnanam advayam. Who are Vedantists, who know the truth about this Advaita, the knowledge of Advaita Paratattva, who knows this truth of the non-dual substance, knows Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti. There are three aspects to the non-dual substance: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, what is this Brahman? Brahman effulgence, the effulgence of Krishna. And what is, Prabhupada says something very important in the Ishopanishads. Prabhupada is making some explanation about the nature of Brahman effulgence in the 16th verse of the Sri Ishopanishads, in the purport. The all-pervading feature of the Lord which exists in all circumstances of waking and sleeping, meaning in realized consciousness and in maya, or illusion, as well as in potential states, and from which the Jiva Shakti, living force, is generated as both conditioned and liberated souls, is known as Brahman. Here he is making it very clear that inside the Brahman, within the Brahman, there is the living entities, jivas, who are both conditioned and liberated souls, come from this Brahma-jyoti. In the 17th chapter, in the purport, he says, as we have learned from the previous mantras, the Brahma-jyoti emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord is full of spiritual sparks that are individual entities with the full sense of existence. So, these two statements by Prabhupada in the purports to verse 16 and 17 establish that the jivas are sparks within the Brahma-jyoti. Just like we have sun in one place. And emanating from the sun is sunshine. If I would say, open the window, open the curtain, bring the sun in the room, doesn't mean the sun planet comes. It means sunshine. So the sunshine, this is the Brahma-jyoti. Krishna is the sun, and Brahma-jyoti is the effulgence coming from Krishna. And within those sun rays, there are many sparks of light, atomic particles of light. Those atomic particles of light are the jivas. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that when Lord Balaram, who's manifest from the right side of Krishna, this is in the 14th or 15th chapter of Jiva Dharma. So Lord Balaram is creating or manifesting Goloka and all the paraphernalia in Goloka and everything in Goloka for Krishna's pleasure. He takes the jivas and places them inside Goloka, who are the Nitya Siddha, eternal parikars. Where those jivas come from Brahman. He places them there. Then Mula Sankarshan, who is the first expansion of Balaram, places jivas in Dwarkapuri and Mathura. Then Mahasankarshan places jivas in Vaikuntha. These are all the liberated jivas, what Prabhupada talks about in 16th verse. Okay? So all of this is situated on the Brahman. Goloka, Navadvip, Puri, Mathura, Dwarka, Ayodhya, Vaikuntha, it is all resting on the Brahma-jyoti. And then, from Krishna's left side, Radharani expands to Ramadevi, and Ramadevi casts a shadow on a portion of the Brahma-jyoti. That shadow is Pradhan, the undifferentiated material substance. Jad, inert, dead matter, with no life. And this is considered to be, this shadow, this chaya, is Durga, or the female generative organ. So this is Chaya. This is Durga. This is also resting on Brahman. Then in between the material and spiritual, that Karnadak ocean or Viraja river, it is lying there. That Karnadak ocean, it is explained that you have to go through the Karnadak ocean to get to the spiritual world. So it is not the spiritual world. It is explained that the Karnadak ocean never touches the material world. So it's not the material world. It is not the spiritual world, it is not the material world. What is it? Tatashta. The region in the middle. The line between the two. So Mahasankarshan expands into Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu then glances on this pradhan, this shadow, this material universe. And coming in the glance of Mahavishnu are Jivas, Jivatma and Paramatma. These two. But now even the glance of Vishnu, it cannot touch this material universe. So what is touching this shadow, this Chaya? What is touching the shadow or the Chaya is Sadashiv. Sadashiv Vishnu from Vaikuntha transforms. That verse is there in the Brahma Samhita about Dadi becoming Dahi. Milk becomes yogurt. So, this Sadashiv Vishnu becomes Shambhu, Shiva. And this is a halo that is around the glance of Mahavishnu. And that form of Shambhu, that halo, is known to be the lingam, or the male generative organ. So the first act of creation is a conjugal relation between Shambhu and Shakti. The greatest devotees. What is Shambhu? Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. He is the greatest Vaishnava. And what is Durga? Durga is the greatest devotee of Krishna because she is keeping everyone in Maya, in illusion, under the direction of Krishna. This is her service, to keep us in illusion. We should become such good servants like Maya. So, they are both great Vaishnavas, great devotees, transcendental personalities. They are not mundane personalities. Shiv Shakti and Chit Shakti. So, this glance touches the pradhan, the shadow, and impregnates the pradhan with Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma and Paramatma. In the beginning, Jivatma has no influence. He is only sitting there, waiting to become active. Paramatma is the first one who is active. Paramatma enters into every atom and in between every atom. This is the primary creation. So now the pradhan is able to animate, because without Paramatma in every atom and in between every atom, how can the atoms become animate? How can they form into different shapes? So now the first thing is, it starts to evolve. First, Hiranmaya, it shows effulgence. In other words, it becomes full of light, because now the presence of Paramatma and Jivatma is there. So the pradhan becomes Hiranmaya. It becomes effulgent by the presence of the Divine Spirit. Then it evolves into the different separate energies. The first one is Vasudeva, consciousness, pure consciousness, uncontaminated consciousness, Shuddha Sattva. Then the second is Chitta, which is mixed with Tamas, Rajas and Sattva. So this is called Ahankar. Pure consciousness mixed with the modes of nature, contaminated by the modes of nature, is Ahankar, false ego. I am this material body. Then the Ahankar, predominated by Sattva Gun, manifests the mind. Ahankar, predominated by Rajagun, manifests the intelligence. And then Ahankar, predominated by Tamagun, will produce material sound. Tamasaccha vikoravana Bhagavat viryachodhitat shabdam matram abuttasman navashrutam dusabdagam. When egoism and ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is described here that it is being agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Lord. Sadashiv Vishnu, Shambhu, Mahavishnu. So it is not a mundane act, it is a spiritual act. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have mundane sex. He has only Madhurya Ras. So this is a form of Madhurya Ras. It is a form of Madhurya Ras between Shambhu and Shakti, between Durga and Shiva. From this comes the subtle element of sound. The subtle element of sound is manifest from this. So now these are two important things we have to recognize. One, and then it says, from the sound comes the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes this point. We have to understand very clearly that sound is the beginning of the creation of all material objects for our sense gratification. Similarly, if sound is purified, our spiritual necessities are also produced from sound. All material and spiritual things are produced by sound. Okay? So, that sound is coming in the material world from the agitation of the sex desire of the Lord with the mode of ignorance and the ahankar. False egoism and the mode of ignorance with ahankar, with the agitated by the sex desire of the Lord. So, Madhurya Ras is the source of sound, and sound is the source of this material universe. And in the 4th verse of the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Radha Krishna conjugal is the yantra, or the form of Gopal mantra. For every mantra, for every sound vibration, there is a yantra, a form. The form of Gopal mantra is Radha Krishna conjugal. Therefore, we see that Radha Krishna conjugal is the source of all spiritual forms, and Radha Krishna and Madhurya Rasa is also the source of the sound that's the source of all material forms. Therefore, everything spiritual and material comes from Madhurya Rasa. Now your question.
Is that the same as saying Adi Ras?
Adi Ras? Yeah. Like that. Adi Ras, the original Ras is Madhurya Ras. Adi means original, first. Madhurya Ras is the primary Ras because it is the source of all other Rasas. You understand?
Yeah.
All other Rasas are contained in Madhurya Ras. So, do you understand this point? It's a very important point. Now, he's also saying that he said, similarly, if sound is purified, our spiritual necessities are also produced from sound. We have to understand very clearly that sound is the beginning of the creation of all material objects of our sense gratification. So everything in the spiritual world and everything in the material world, all forms. Even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in the purport to the 15th chapter of the to the purport of the 15th verse of the 8th chapter of the 10th canto. 10th canto, 8th chapter, verse number 15. That Krishna's body, which is composed of mantras. So this is simultaneous. Prabhupada always used to tell us, Krishna and his name are non-different. The form and the sound of the name are non-different. The mantra and the yantra are one. Okay? So all spiritual forms come from Madhurya Rasa. All material forms come from Madhurya Rasa. Madhurya Rasa is the source of everything. So, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, this is 3rd canto, 26th chapter, verse number 32. That he's saying, it appears that all the objects of our sense gratification are the products of egoism and ignorance. It is understood from this verse that by agitation of the element of egoism and ignorance, the first thing produced is sound, which is the subtle form of ether. It is stated also in the Vedanta Sutra that sound is the origin of all objects of material possession, and that by sound one can also dissolve this material existence. Anavritti Shabdat means liberation by sound. The entire material manifestation began from sound, and sound can also end material entanglement if it has a particular potency. So now we're getting an idea that all the forms that we see in this world are sound vibrations. Okay? We read in the 18th chapter of the Brahma Samhita that was produced by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about Gopal mantra, the 18-syllable mantra. And he talks specifically about cling. Cling is the Bij mantra. It is non-different from Om. Okay. Every syllable of that mantra has many meanings. And he gives the evidence of this from the, she's pulling that thing off of there. He gives the evidence from the Sattvic Tantras. I think it is Gautamiya Tantra that he is giving the evidence about the manifestation of cling and the different meanings of each syllable in cling. Cling. Ka, la, I, anuswar, bindu. You know anuswar, bindu means this half moon and dot. Okay? Anuswar, bindu, bindu is this dot. Anuswar, bindu. Cling. Okay. So he gives the four different explanations of cling. Ka means Krishna's face, head, neck, okay, and the features of the face. Then La means the torso and arms. Then I means this genital area and thighs. Anuswar Bindu, the legs and feet. This is Kala I Anuswar Bindu. Description of Krishna's body. Okay. Then, another explanation. Ka. Ka means Krishna himself. La means the ocean of love between Radha and Krishna. I means Radharani. And Anuswar Bindu means the ecstatic kissing between Radha and Krishna. So, this is a description of Madhurya Ras. Okay. Then, Ka, La, I, Anuswar Bindu. Cling is also the Bij mantra for the Kam Gayatri. Kam Gayatri, you do Gopal mantra, Cling Krishnaya, then you do Cling Kamadeva, Kam Gayatri, okay? In that Kam Gayatri, there's one word, Pushpa Banaya. Remember? Pushpa Banaya, Pushpa means flower. Banaya, arrow. So Ka, La, I, Anuswar Bindu, 5 kinds of flower arrows. Mango, Ashok, like this. 5 kinds of flower arrows coming from the glance of Krishna to the heart of Radhika. You see? So many meanings. And Ka, La, I, Anuswar Bindu. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. 5 elements. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he explains. When Brahma achieves Namabhas, the shadow of pure name, he is no longer chanting this Gopal mantra, this Kling, this Bij mantra, offensively. There is no offenses. But it's not yet Shuddh Nam, but it is Abhas, a dim reflection of pure name. In this state of consciousness, he realizes the depth of all of the Bij mantra, of the entire Kling mantra, and all of the different mantras and sound vibrations that are in every syllable. So, the 5 elements in the 5 syllables, and for each syllable, there are many mantras inside for manipulating those elements into different forms. So Brahma realizes all these mantras. Then he initiates Vishvakarma. Then Vishvakarma begins to engineer the construction of the entire universe based on these mantras that he receives from Brahma. So in this way, the whole universe is being constructed by sound. So here Prabhupada is saying, it is written in this verse, sound is the source of ether, and ether is the source of air, water, fire, water, earth, and all of these, the objects of our sense gratification in this world, are constructed by sound. So in the primary creation, the Paramatma is active because he is helping to divide everything into, now he's dividing everything into separate elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, okay? Then he is the underlying force that creates cohesion for all of the elements to manifest different forms. This is earth elements, which have been made into a chair. Some of it is metal, raw materials from the earth. Some of it is plastics, which comes from oil from the earth. So this has been the ability to construct this form and to continue to manifest this form, this shape, is made possible by the presence of Paramatma in every atom and in between every atom. He's holding the shape of the jug, inert matter. And who is animating the living entities? The fish, the grass, the trees, the insects, the birds, the animals, the human beings, and the Jiva. Which Paramatma? Both. They are the animators of the living entities. Understand? So, primary creation is glance. Secondary creation, the manifestation of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in each universe. And he manifests Lord Brahma from his lotus flower. Okay? Then, tertiary creation. Tertiary creation is now Brahma has become realized. He has given the mantras to Vishvakarma. He is now constructing the universes, the 14 different levels of the universe. Earth is Bhumandala in the middle, and then there's the 7 above, and then there's the Rasatala, Talatala, Patala, the lower planetary system, all being constructed by Vishvakarma. Now, the Jiva. Now the Jiva is going to be placed into different bodies according to their desires. But what is the first covering? Tasarja Chaya Vyavidyam Panchaparvam Parvanam Panchaparvanam Agrata Tamishram Anda Tamishram Tamo Moho Mahatama. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 20th chapter, verse number 18. Sasarja Chaya Ya Vidyam Panchaparvanam Agrada Tamishram Anda Tamishram Tamo Moho Mahatama. First of all, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned souls. There's 5 coverings. They are 5 in number. They are called Tamishra, Anda Tamishra, Tamas, Moha, and Mahamoha. So now he's going to describe the 5 kinds of ignorance. The purport. Bhagavat explains this. So this now, the Jiva is being placed into the material universe. He's there, he's present, now he's going to be given some forms. And the forms are based on these coverings. This is the first covering. Otherwise, how the living entity, the Jiva, is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So how will you convince someone who is eternal to accept temporary body? Nobody likes the idea that the body is temporary and will die. We don't want to die. Why? Because our nature is that we are eternal. We are Sat. Nobody wants to be in ignorance. So many times people say, I don't understand why. So many problems come to me. So many difficulties. This happens, that happens, the other thing happens. This is due to what? Ignorance of Maya, ignorance of the material world. We don't want to be ignorant, but we are ignorant. We have difficulties with our body and we don't know what is our body. And even people who are supposed to know what is the body, doctors, they train for 13, 14, 15 years and still they don't know the body. If you look at the statistics, you will find that after cancer and heart disease in this country, the third leading cause of death is iatrogenic medicine, means the side effects of taking pharmaceutical drugs or being in the hospital. This is the third leading cause of death. So this means that the people who have been trained to learn what your body is supposed to do, they also don't know. What is the meaning of the body? They are also ignorant of this body because they are killing us. So, that is ignorance. Achit, not chit. Chit means knowledge, all knowledge. So this body is achit, it is ignorant. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, this body is a lump of ignorance. Then, Ananda, Sat-Chit Ananda. We want to be happy, right? Every day we want to be happy. Oh, I want to be happy, I want money, I want wife, I want husband, I want job, I want. If I get this thing, I will be happy. If I get that thing, I will be happy. When my son was about 8 or 9, I asked him, okay, Christmas is coming. You give me a list. What are the things you want? So he wrote down everything. Then I called all the relatives. Okay, can you get this one? Okay, can you get this one? Can you get this one? Then on the Christmas day, everything he asked for on the list, it came. So he took all the things, all days playing. Then in the night, I'm putting him in the bed to sleep. Every night I will sit with him for a little while. We'll talk. Maybe I'll tell him a story, sing a song, something. So, I asked him this night, did you get everything you wanted? Yes, I got all the things I wanted. I said, now that you have all these things, are you happy? No, I'm not happy. I said, do you understand now that things will not make you happy? Yes, now I can see. Things cannot make me happy. I did this purposely to teach him something. That you should understand. Even you obtain everything that you think you want, still you will not be happy. Always the desire is more. I want more. I want more. I want more. So, that which is Satchidananda, full of knowledge, full of bliss, and full of eternality, can never be happy in this material body. So in order to convince us to accept a material body, first we are covered with 5 forms of ignorance. We have to become ignorant 5 times. Then we can accept this body. Yes? You don't know?
Right, yeah.
So Prabhupada says, the conditioned souls are living entities who come in the material world to enjoy sense gratification are covered in the beginning by 5 different conditions. The first condition is the covering of tamishra, or anger. Constitutionally, each and every living entity has minute independence. It is misuse of that minute independence for the conditioned soul to think that he can also enjoy like the Supreme Lord, or to think, why shall I not be a free enjoyer like the Supreme Lord? This forgetfulness of his constitutional position is due to anger or envy. So Prabhupada is explaining this is envy. Okay? So what is the envy? What is the envy that we have, and what is the anger? I will explain. Krishna has 6 opulences. He is all wealthy. He is all beautiful. He is all powerful. He has all knowledge and wisdom. He has all fame. And he is all renunciation. When we become envious of Krishna, I want to be famous. I want to be wealthy. I want to be powerful. I want to be beautiful. I want to have knowledge. I want to be completely renounced. I want these things. This is envy. We envy the opulences of God. So there are 6 enemies. Envy, lust, anger, greed, pride, and delusion. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mahamoha, Matsarya, envy. These are the 6. So, first, envy. This envy gives rise to lust, desire, I want, greed, I want to control, covetousness. When our lust or our greed is not fulfilled, then what happens? Anger, growth. Why I am not getting the money? Why I am not getting the power? Why I am not getting the fame? Why I am not getting? Why I see the other person is very famous, very wealthy, very powerful. Why I am not getting? I want. Growth. Understand? The growth comes from this. And if we get the opulence, if we become very wealthy, very beautiful, very powerful, very influential, then what happens? Pride. Yes, I am very wealthy. I am very powerful. I am very handsome. I am this, I am that, me. And what comes from this pride? Illusion. When you think that you are the greatest, then you will make mistakes. Your illusion into doing stupid things, foolish things, things that you regret, regretful behavior. I see some people smiling because they are familiar with this experience. Huh? So, Tamishra, envy, anger. The living entity, being eternally part and parcel servitor of the Supreme Lord, can never by constitution be an equal enjoyer with the Lord. When he forgets this, however, and tries to be one with him, his condition is called Tamishra. Even in the field of spiritual realization, this Tamishra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. Even in spiritual realization. Why? Because that time the living entity is thinking, I will be what? I will be God. I will become one with God. I will become God. I will be as powerful as God. So even in the field of spiritual realization, this Tamishra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. In trying to get out of the entanglement of material life, there are many who want to be one with the Supreme. Even in their transcendental activities, this lower grade mentality of Tamishra continues. Tamishra, Anda Tamishra, involves considering death to be the ultimate end. In the end, I will die, so everything will be finished. Death is the ultimate end. The atheists generally think that the body is the self and that everything is therefore ended with the end of the body. Thus, they want to enjoy material life as far as possible during the existence of the body. Someone told me a very funny joke about this atheist. One man, he's an atheist, complete atheist, whole life, speaking against God, very atheist. And he is a big believer in nature. So he is going in the forest to examine nature and take samples and do a science and all this. So he's walking in the forest and he's taking nature walk and he's collecting items and this and that. Suddenly he hears a big noise, he turns around, it is a bear. So the bear starts chasing him, he's running, the bear, bear's coming up. Finally, the bear catches up with him, knocks him on the ground, and he's going to eat him. Then the man shouts out, "Oh God!" Then suddenly everything stopped. Everything stopped. Bear's frozen, time is frozen, everything's frozen. Then he hears the voice of God. Now you're calling me? Now you're calling my name now. I didn't know what to do. I'm in this condition, I didn't know what to do. Do you expect me to save you? You spent your whole life denying my existence. Now do you expect me to save you? I don't. What can I say? All right, if you can't save me, can you do me one favor? Okay. Can you make the bear a Christian? You want me to make the bear a Christian? Yeah. Okay. I will make the bear a Christian. Then he makes the bear a Christian, then everything begins again. Then the bear looks down at the man, he smiles, he puts his paws together and he says, "Bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive through thy bounty." He says a prayer before he eats it. So, the atheists think everything is finished with the body. But this is not the actual fact. Their theory is, as long as you live, you should live prosperously. Never mind whether you commit all kinds of so-called sins. You must eat sumptuously, beg, borrow, and steal. And if you think that by stealing and borrowing you are being entangled in sinful activities for which you will have to pay, then just forget that misconception, because after death, everything is finished. So this is Anda to Mishra. This Anda to Mishra ignorance is due to tamas. The condition of not knowing anything about the spirit soul is called tamas. The material world is also generally called tamas because 99% of its living entities are ignorant of the identity as a soul. Although everyone is thinking that he is this body, he has no information of the spiritual soul. Almost everyone is thinking that he is this body and he has no information of the spiritual soul. Guided by this misconception, one always thinks, this is my body and anything in relationship with this body is mine. For such misguided living entities, sex life is the background of material existence. Actually, the conditioned souls in ignorance in this material world are simply guided by sex life. And as soon as they get the opportunity for sex life, they become attached to so-called increase. So-called home, motherland, children, wealth, and opulence. As these attachments increase, moha, or the illusion of the bodily concept of life, increases, and thus the idea that I am this body and everything belongs to this body is mine also increases, and as the whole world is put into this moha, then sectarian societies, families, and nationalities are created, and they fight with one another. Mahamoha means to be mad after material enjoyment. So this is the 5 kinds of ignorance. The 5 kinds of ignorance cover the soul. Tamishra, Anda Tamishra, Tamas, Moha, Mahamoha. And besides this ignorance is also ahankar, false ego. Also material mind. Also material intelligence. These manifest what's called shukshma sarir, subtle body. And that subtle body lies like a sheet within inside this gross physical body, made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And the connection between the gross physical body and the subtle body is the chakras. Muladhara chakra, then Swanishtidhara chakra, then Manipur chakra, then Anhat chakra, then Vishuddha chakra, then Ajna chakra, then Sahasrara chakra. These chakras, they're like cords, like ropes that connect the subtle and the gross body. And the chakras act on both, on subtle and gross. Besides this, there is an ethereal body, which is known as the koshas. Anamoya kosh, pranamoya kosh, jnanamoya kosh, vijnanamoya kosh, anandamoya kosh. So all these subtle coverings are on the soul. The soul has come here to this material world due to some desire to enjoy material nature. When Mahavishnu is glancing on that pradhan, some souls are looking left, Some souls are looking right, some souls are looking Vaikuntha, Goloka. They get divine grace, they go there. Some souls look here, they think, oh, I can be Vishnu, I can be Krishna, I can be the enjoyer. They come here. So we have all come here. Now we are here. Now we have to get out from here. How we will get out from here? Only by mercy of Sadhu. Sadhu. Because we have all these coverings. How to dissolve them? 3rd canto, 25th chapter, verse 33. The process of bhakti dissolves the subtle body. You understand? The process of bhakti dissolves the subtle body. So we have to dissolve the subtle body. Now this comes into conception of sound. What is said in this verse 32? Verse 32 of this chapter. 3rd canto, 26th chapter, verse 32. What is he saying? He's saying that sound is the source of ether, and from ether comes air. Subtle sound. What is subtle sound? If I were to seal off this room and take all the air out of the room and there's only space left in the room, you wouldn't be able to hear my voice. My voice wouldn't project in space. Without air to carry the voice, it's not projected. So this is the sound of my voice box. But there's another sound. Subtle vibrations in the subtle body connected to the koshas and the chakras. That's what this subtle sound is. The sound that it's talking about when it says that egoism and ignorance agitated by the sex desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead produces subtle sound. That subtle sound is vibrational sound within the subtle body. And this is discussed in the 10th canto, 85th chapter, verse number 9. The 85th chapter of the 10th canto is the chapter of Lord Krishna instructing his father Vasudeva. So in this, before Krishna begins to instruct his father is glorifying his son because he's recognizing him as the Supreme Personality of God. So he says, my dear Krishna, you, this 9th verse, you are the 10 directions. North, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, up, down, 10 directions. You are the 10 directions, and you are the accommodating capacity known as ether, akash, space. In other words, the directions are accommodated within space, okay? And you are the elemental sound within them. This elemental sound meaning this subtle sound vibration, okay? You are the transcendental, you are the original transcendental sound of Omkar. That is spiritual sound. Like Om. And you are the sounds from the voice box which give names to the objects of the world. So, in the purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes one verse from the Rig Veda. And he says in there, learned Brahmins accept that there are 4 levels of speech or sound. 3 of them are subtle vibrations in the subtle body. 1 of them is from the voice box. So I will give you some examples, okay? a boy and a girl meet. They become attracted to each other. Oh, she looks very nice. Yes, he looks very nice. I like what I see. Then, dhyayato vishaya punsam. Dhyayato means the mind begins to meditate on that object. Oh, very nice, I like. Dhyayato vishaya punsam. Sangas teshu vijayate. By that meditation, what happens? Sangas. Attachment. When we become attached to that object that we're meditating on, then Kam, Sangat Sanjayate, Kama. Now Kam, lust, desire, I want. I want this object, this handsome man, this beautiful girl. I want, please, I want. So, starting in the subtle body by meditation, then going through the subtle chakra in Muladhara, Sunishtita chakra. Now it is coming into the emotional and physical part of the body, Pranamoya Kosh, to enjoy the material nature. Then hormones start being manufactured. Now body begins to feel more lust, more desire. So then one of them, the boy or the girl, says to the other, I love you. And when they hear that, I love you, then inside they become all, why? Because there is subtle vibration from that pranamoya kosh, from those chakras. From the subtle, it is going through the subtle body. That subtle vibration is being carried on the voice box. And then it goes in your ear and it touches that same portion in your body, in your subtle body, and then you feel the emotions that they are expressing. And you begin to tremble. Oh. Yes. He loves me. She loves me. Oh. Yeah? Feel it. You feel it. You go to school. The teacher will tell you to read one chapter of the book. And then they will discuss it the next day. So when you discuss it the next day, you tell the teacher, okay, I understood everything, but this one paragraph I didn't understand. So then the teacher begins to explain it, and then, boom, the light bulb goes on. Oh yes, now I understand what this means. When you hear from the teacher what he says, then you understand. Why? Because in the subtle portion of the Jnanamoya Kosh, in Anhat Chakra, this material knowledge is vibrating. He has already received it from his teacher. Now he is passing it on to you. And when you hear the vibration coming on his voice box, it touches your Jnanamoya Kosh, and now that material knowledge becomes open to you. You follow? Now I am teaching you very subtle information. What is the entire structure of the material coverings of the soul? Huh? What is the difference between the material and the spiritual? Who is the source of the material and the spiritual? This is very subtle information. It's called Vijnana. Vijnanamoya Kosh from the Agna chakra. To the degree that I have realized it, and to the degree that you are open to receive it, now it is being transmitted to your Agna chakra, to your Vijnanamoya Kosh. So this Vijnana is now coming to you. You follow? But this is not Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Katha. This is not Rasayana Katha. Rasayana Katha is something else. Something different. Rasayana Katha is when that Mahapurush, that liberated person who has no subtle body, speaks about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and his associates. That person is one of the associates of Krishna. That person is experiencing all the moods of the inhabitants of Braj. So when that person is speaking, the moods of the inhabitants of Braj are being broadcast directly from his spiritual body to your spiritual body. And you are getting that. You understand? Are you following this? That is Rasayana Katha. That is transcendental sound. It is not a vibration from Vijnanamrita. That only helps you to understand the difference between matter and spirit in the control room. So now within this structure, okay, the physical body, the subtle body, the 5 different forms of illusion, and the ethereal body, the koshas, the chakras. And within that subtle body, which hangs like a sheet within this gross body, in the area of the heart is the Atma, soul. And the soul expands all over the subtle and gross body beyond the physical body, which is called consciousness. But we have the sun is in one place in the universe. That is the Atma. And the sunshine is like consciousness. Now in the sunshine, in this atmosphere, there are clouds, there's pollution, there's many things that contaminate the atmosphere of the sunshine. Not contaminate it, but make it unavailable. It means it covers our ability to see ourself, our Atma. So the consciousness becomes contaminated, but not the soul. The soul is always pure and uncontaminated. But the consciousness becomes contaminated by impressions, samskars. The impressions of seeing things in the material world, material pleasures. So by these impressions, these samskars, the consciousness becomes covered, and then your ability to see yourself as a soul also becomes covered. You follow this? So these samskars, this is Chaitana Dvarpanamarjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. We have to cleanse the mirror of the mind. The mirror of the mind is the consciousness. We clean the Chaitana. Chaitana Dvarpana. We have to clean the Chaitana, the consciousness, of all of these material impressions. That comes by transcendental sound vibration from the sadhu. He cleans the impressions, he cleans the anarthas, he cleans everything. Bhakti only comes from bhakti. There's no karmic, pious activities that you can perform that will give you bhakti. There is no sinful activities you can perform that will give you bhakti. There's no jnana or knowledge that you can obtain that will give you bhakti. Bhakti will not come by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, because then he would be partial. Bhakti will not come by the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord, because then he would be partial. Where does bhakti come from? Bhakti resides in the heart of the Braj Rasik Uttam Adhikari, who is acting on the Uttam Madhyam platform. That is where bhakti is residing. And it is by the mercy of this Uttam Madhyam Bhakta that bhakti will be distributed to the hearts of the living entities, broadcast to them, and they will obtain it. Bhakti comes from bhakti. That bhakti resides there. And how it is distributed? It is distributed by the sadhus through the process of the sound vibration. Transcendental sound vibration. I'm going to find the verse for you. It's in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavat, 20th chapter. What happens is, this verse is being spoken by Prithu Maharaj. You know Prithu Maharaj? He is a Jiva, but he is a Shakti-Vaishnava, an empowered Jiva. He's empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna to resolve many difficulties within the material world that were created by King Vena, who was an enemy of transcendental activities, spiritual activities in the material world. So, what happens? What happens is that he performs a fire yajna, Ritu. And when he performs this fire yajna to please Lord Vishnu, that he has done everything to again restore the earth to its spiritual position, Vishnu appears from the fire yajna. And then he offers to give any benediction to Prithu Maharaj that Prithu Maharaj wants. So Prithu Maharaj says, Sautama shloka mahan mukhya chuto bhavat padamboja shuddha kananila smritim puna vishmrita tattva vatmanam kuyoginam no vitaratyalam varai. My dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, a pure devotee, this is the 4th canto, 20th chapter, verse 25. A pure devotee always engages in the service of the Lord, taking shelter of his lotus feet, and therefore he has a direct connection with the saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. Remember we discussed yesterday, the sadhu, the Mahapurush who comes from the spiritual world, he has no ahankara, subtle body. He has no material mind or material intelligence. 4th canto, 22nd chapter, verse 26 in the purport. The Mahapurush, the Atma, the spiritual form of the Mahapurush lives directly within this body. Therefore the body becomes Chinmaya Sarira. But it is not connected to the body through any subtle connection, through the chakras, through the material mind and intelligence or ahankar. It is not covered by the 5 forms of illusion. It is completely transcendental, it is completely detached. Although within the body, it is not connected to the body. But its presence there makes the body Chinmaya Sarira, or spiritualized. Although when a pure devotee speaks, the articulation of his voice may resemble the sound of the material sky. It may sound like our speaking. It may resemble that, but it is not. The voice is spiritually very powerful because it touches the particles of saffron dust on the lotus feet of the Lord. As soon as a sleeping living entity hears the powerful voice emanating from the mouth of a pure devotee, he immediately remembers his eternal relationship with the Lord, although up until that moment he had forgotten everything. This is Rasayana Kata. Rasayana Kata means what he is speaking. The transcendental moods of the inhabitants of Braj are being broadcast. The mercy of the saffron particles, the aroma of the saffron particles is being carried on his voice. It is sounding like the material voice of the material sky, but it is not. It is carrying the transcendental sound vibration, the aroma of the saffron particles from the lotus feet of Krishna, which is touching your heart, your spiritual form directly. You. It is touching you, the spirit soul, directly. It is piercing through all the subtle coverings of illusion, ahankar, manas, buddhi, everything, and touching you, the soul, directly. Waking you up, waking up your spiritual soul. This is not Vijnana Moyako. This is Rasayana Kata. That which rejuvenates the spiritual form. You understand? So this is the nature of the Jivatma. How the Jivatma comes to this world. How the Jivatma can come out of this world. Anavriti Shabda, by sound. And in the 4th canto, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that the Hare Krishna mantra is potent. However, he said, the potency of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra becomes more powerful when it is given by the lips of the sadhu. This is the importance of the initiation. You understand? It is always powerful. It always has potency for awakening our consciousness. But when it comes from the lips of the sadhu, it brings with it deeper power, spiritual power, bhakti ras, the moods of Srimati Radhika. Because after all, the saffron mercy particles on the feet of the Lord are nothing more than the saffron that is on the kumkum, or the lac that is on the feet of Srimati Radhika, or the kumkum on her breast, which comes on the feet of the Lord. And that is where the saffron particles come from. The saffron particles are Srimati Radhika. Where is that? Gaudiya? In Rupa Goswami's Radhika Astakam, he gives one verse in which he explains Radhika Astakam 158. In the Radhika Astakam it explains how it is. Amala Kanaka Pado Grishta Kashmir Gori. Amala Kanaka Pado Grishta Kashmir Gori. I worship that Srimati Radhika, whose fair complexion resembles Kashmira, saffron, which has been ground upon a slab of pure gold. So this saffron particles is Swarup Shakti, Srimati Radhika. In the Venu Geet, 20th chapter of 10th canto, 21st chapter of 10th. Verse number 17, it talks about the those Adivasis. these ladies who are from tribal, and how they are seeing the kumkum smeared from the feet of Krishna in the grass. They are taking it and rubbing it on their faces and breasts, and it is calming their desire to embrace Krishna. So in that verse, in the purport of that verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the purport, leaving aside that this chapter is speaking about the flute. And now he wants to put that aside. Okay, this chapter is talking about the flute. But this verse, he said, this verse is talking about the lotus feet of Vrishabhanunandini Srimati Radhika. And just by the slightest association of her lotus feet, one can be elevated to the highest level of Vadan, Madanyakama. How does this Madanyakama Bhav come? Who can get it? It is only present in Radhika. So how the Jiva will get this? Only the Priyanarmasakas and Priyanarmasakis, the Manjaris, they can taste it. They taste it vicariously. When Radha is experiencing it in her relations with Krishna, they get to taste it. A portion of it. Therefore, Anarpita Charin Charat, Karunaya Kalo, that Mahaprabhu has appeared in this Kali Yuga for what purpose? Unot Ujvala Rasa Svabhakti Shriyam, to give this Unot Ujvala Rasa Svabhakti Shriyam. The Swabhakti Shriyam, or this Manjari Bhav, is the only thing that can give us this Madanyaka. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that it comes from this Kashmir, from this saffron particles. And Prabhupada is giving us the hint about this, because in the verse, Shuddha Kana means nectar particles. But he translates it in the word for word as nectar particles, but in the verse and the purport he says saffron particles. This indicates his deep understanding that saffron means Srimati Radhika, and saffron means this particles have come from the lotus feet of Radhika rubbing on the lotus feet of Krishna and their love play. This is how the saffron particles come there. This was confirmed by Gurudev. Okay? You understand? If the Jiva wants to get out of the mire of material life, then he must hear the transcendental sound vibrations of the lotus lips of the sadhu. Surrender to that transcendental sound vibration and serve the sadhu. Then he can become, then this subtle body will be dissolved and the Atma will manifest. So now I have taught you Jiva tattva today. What is Jiva tattva? Have you ever heard it like this, explained all the details of Jiva tattva? How you came and how you get out? The whole thing I have given you. Okay? Tomorrow, Vigraha Tattva. Okay? Now we'll explain who is Vigraha. How this Thakurji is actually Krishna. He is not marble, not grass, but Krishna himself. Krishna, Radharani herself. Okay? Right, you've seen some kirtan.